Hello everybody. All right, we are doing the test remediation from our quadratics test. So make sure that you've got the volume up so that you can hear my cues and hear what's going on here. And let's start with the left side, the most missed problems, and let's make sure we're showing all our work here, okay? So first of all, we are solving a quadratic, and step number one says to get all terms on one side. So I'm going to move both of these at the same time. I'm going to add 8x to both sides of the equation, and I am going to add 7 to both sides of the equation. Okay, and so now we needed everything on one side. So now over here I've got a 0. And this is where we've been having a little bit of issues. Y'all make sure you're not combining terms that cannot be combined. The x squared doesn't go with this one or this one, and these two cannot be combined as well. So we've got three terms. Let's put them in order. We've got an x squared, we've got a plus 8x, and we've got a plus 7. And this is a trinomial, easy trinomial. So we are going to use the X box method. Last term is the one that we are multiplying to get to. The middle term is the one we are adding to get to. So I need my magic numbers. So my magic numbers are positive 7 times positive 1. And let's make sure we're just going to complete this all the way. So I'm going to factor this, and x's go in the front slots, and then we got a positive 1 and a positive 7. Okay, we're going to set each one equal to 0, and when I subtract 1, I find out one of my answers is negative 1. When I subtract 7, I find out my other solution is negative 7. So it's negative 1 and negative 7. My guess is that if we were able to move everything over, we probably looked here and then answered the wrong, with the wrong answer there. Okie dokie. Right, make sure you're showing all your work on this side as well. Okay. All right, next most missed problem. This one really doesn't surprise me because when we were doing our quadratic pictures, when we got to the ones that had the greatest common factor method, you all hiccuped a little and had a little problem, but this is the greatest common factor method. Okay, now how do I know that? Well, first of all, we've got two terms. So your choices are greatest common factor method or dots. Now, I realize that 81 is a perfect square. The reason why you can't use dots, though, is because this x is here. And this x will not break down. It's an x to the first power. So that's a key indicator that this is greatest common factor method. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to leave myself a little space. I'm going to pull out my greatest common factor. And my greatest common factor is just an x. Okay. Now, I've got to divide both terms by x to determine what goes inside. X squared divided by x to the first power is an x to the first power. My x's here cancel, and I'm left with an 81. Okay. All right, we set these equal to 0. Now, x is a factor. We set that equal to 0. X minus 81 is a factor. We set that equal to 0. And we add 81 to both sides here. So my solutions are 0 and 81. Okay. Keep in mind, notice here, this is not difference of squares because that's an x to the first power. In the original problem, this is not difference of two squares because that x cannot be broken down. That x is not a perfect square. Okay. All right, and last one. And this was definitely the most missed because it was the most challenging. I'm going to show you two methods on how to do this, and I want you to show both methods, okay? So let's write over here real quick, show both methods. Okay, and over here we're going to show both methods. So First thing is, let's just go ahead and let's put us a star up here next to the Q3, and let's put us a heart over here next to the R3. Okay, make sure we're listening. And now, we are given a trinomial, but we are missing that last term, and we're told that it has a 0 at 1. And then we have a vertex. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to work with the 0 here. So that's going to be the first method. So I'm going to write method 1. Okay, we have a 0 at 1 comma 0. Okay, so the first thing we need to realize is what that means is my x squared minus 6x plus z is going to factor into x minus 1. Notice it's the opposite sign, okay, and then I don't know what goes here. Okay, well, how do I figure that out? Well, let's get us an X box started. Okay, this goes in the middle, and this is what I'm adding to get to. The z is what I'm looking for. That's what I'm multiplying to get to. And I know that negative 1 is one of my magic numbers. So see, notice I'm using this as my magic number. So now I need a negative 1 plus something to add to negative 6. Well, I'm going to need a negative 5, y'all. Because when I add those, I get to negative 6. So now, in order to get the z, I need to multiply these, and I get a positive 5. So this little guy here is a positive 5. Okay? All right, we're going to show method 2. Okay, method 2 is going to use this vertex. Okay, well, if you recall, if I have an x, I plug it in and I get my y. So I'm going to plug in my 3. So it's blank squared minus 6 blank plus something. Blank squared minus 6 blank plus something, and when I put all that in, I've got to get this y. So let's plug in my 3. See, my x's get plugged in, and it should equal a y. So let's simplify here. This is a 9. That's minus 18 plus something is going to give me a negative 4. Okay, well, 9 minus 18 is negative 9 plus something is going to give me a negative 4. Well, the way I solve this is I can add 9 to both sides, or I can just actually eyeball it. What needs to go here to give me a negative 4? Well, the answer is 5. So 2 ways of doing it. All right, I want you to show both methods over here, and at the bottom, why don't you write ready for the summer? Have a great day.